The preseason testing in Formula One is always a time of high hopes, expectations, and dramatic surprises. But when Lewis Hamilton, one of the sport's most decorated drivers, faces a shocking struggle with his new team, it leaves everyone questioning what's really happening at Ferrari. Hamilton, a seven-time world champion, has always been associated with success. His switch to Ferrari was supposed to signal a new chapter, one that could finally bring the Scuderia back to championship glory after a decade-long drought. But what happened during these crucial testing days? Was it the start of something historic for Ferrari, or is it a sign that they're still stuck in their old ways? On the final day of preseason testing, the track buzzed with anticipation. The Ferrari team had been hard at work on their car for months, hoping to build a package capable of challenging the likes of Red Bull, Mercedes, and McLaren. But as the day unfolded, it became evident that Ferrari's hopes were being dashed, and the reality was much harsher than anticipated. Hamilton finished the day sixth on the timesheets, 0.8 seconds behind George Russell, who had just put in a blistering lap, edging Max Verstappen by 0.021 seconds. Hamilton, ever the professional, remained measured in his comments, but the frustration in his words was palpable. "It's hard to know what fuel loads everyone is running," he said. "You have to take everything with a pinch of salt, but we've definitely got some work to do to improve." Despite this realism, there was a noticeable shift in Hamilton's optimism. The positivity that had been so prevalent at the start of his Ferrari journey seemed to be slowly eroding under the weight of the car's performance. For Hamilton, Ferrari was supposed to be the team to bring out the best in him. After spending over a decade at Mercedes, where he enjoyed constant success, the challenge of adapting to a new team and a new car was going to be tough, but it was a risk he was willing to take. Ferrari's potential had always been there. The team just couldn't seem to put it all together when it mattered most. But was Hamilton's move to Ferrari really going to be the spark they needed, or was it too much of a leap for both the driver and the team? The truth of the matter is, Ferrari was nowhere near the level needed to fight for the championship in 2025. The data from the pre-season testing exposed the harsh reality of their situation. While Hamilton showed some flashes of his brilliance, he couldn't extract the same level of performance that he had with Mercedes. His pace was far off the leaders, and he couldn't even match the speed of his teammate Charles Leclerc by a significant margin. And yet, despite this, Hamilton tried to remain optimistic, hinting that the foundations of the car were solid and that with work, things could improve. But that's where the problem lies. Work alone may not be enough. The testing session was only one piece of the puzzle. Weather conditions were not ideal, and teams were running different setups and fuel loads, which made interpreting the data even more complicated. Despite all these factors, Ferrari's struggles were undeniable. Hamilton's comments about McLaren and Red Bull's pace reflected the harsh truth of Ferrari's situation. McLaren had won the constructors' title the year before, and Red Bull's dominance had been unquestionable. Hamilton's acknowledgement of their superiority signaled that Ferrari still had a long way to go. But was Hamilton's "work to do" comment just a vague attempt to downplay the struggles? Or was it a subtle warning that Ferrari might be further behind than we think? For Ferrari, this test was meant to be a moment of clarity, a chance to show the world that they had finally solved the puzzle and were ready to challenge for the title. Instead, it was another reminder of the uphill battle they face. The car just didn't have the speed, and the reliability wasn't where it needed to be. And this is where the true problem lies. Ferrari has been in this position too many times before. They've always promised to be competitive, but they've never quite delivered. The question now is whether Hamilton, with his unparalleled experience and skill, can be the catalyst for change at Ferrari. Can he turn things around? Or will he find himself stuck in the same cycle of underperformance that has plagued the team for years? The situation wasn't made any easier when Ferrari cut Hamilton's running short. The plan had been for Hamilton to complete a full race distance, but the team halted his session before he could finish. This decision was a blow to Hamilton, as it meant he couldn't fully assess the car's potential in race conditions. It was a frustrating setback, but it wasn't the end of the world. Yet, it raised another red flag. If Ferrari couldn't give Hamilton the opportunity to test the car fully. What did they know that the public didn't? As the day progressed, the whispers in the paddock grew louder. Ferrari was still playing catch-up, and Hamilton's struggles were merely a reflection of that. The fact that he was almost half a second faster than Leclerc, who was driving the car in the morning session, only added to the sense of uncertainty. Was this a sign that Hamilton's adaptation to the car was going better than expected, or was it just a temporary spike in performance? The real question was, how much time would Ferrari need to catch up with the likes of Red Bull, Mercedes, and McLaren? The answer, unfortunately, is not one anyone has yet figured out. As the 2025 Formula One season edges closer, all eyes have been fixed on Lewis Hamilton's transition to Ferrari. Known for his unparalleled success at Mercedes, the seven-time world champion's move to Ferrari was supposed to signal a new era for the iconic Scuderia. But as the pre-season testing unfolded, the reality of Hamilton's struggle with his new team became glaringly apparent. Hamilton's performance during this crucial period not only raised doubts about Ferrari's capabilities, but also painted a troubling picture for their title aspirations. Hamilton acknowledged the work ahead, but there was a sense that he was coming to terms with the reality of Ferrari's performance deficit. For a driver of Hamilton's caliber, being nearly a second behind the leader was far from ideal, and the questions about Ferrari's competitiveness were starting to mount. In fact, Hamilton's struggle went beyond just raw lap times. The preseason testing is designed to provide teams with an understanding of their car's performance, but it also exposes the gaps in their development. For Ferrari, the test showed a team that was still behind the front runners in terms of overall speed and consistency. Even with the car's improved foundations, Ferrari didn't have the pace to challenge the likes of Red Bull and Mercedes, teams that have dominated the sport in recent years. Hamilton's situation wasn't helped by the fact that Ferrari curbed his running during the session. The team had initially planned for him to complete a full race distance, but they cut his time short. While this might have been a tactical decision to preserve the car or avoid unnecessary risk, it also suggested that Ferrari had concerns about the reliability of the car. For a driver as meticulous as Hamilton, this was undoubtedly frustrating. Not only was he unable to assess the car's performance in race conditions, but he was also left with a feeling of unfinished business. The decision to cut his session short added to the growing sense of unease surrounding Ferrari's ability to compete for the championship in 2025. If the team couldn't provide Hamilton with the opportunity to fully test the car and gather the data needed, it was clear that they were still not ready to fight at the highest level. The stakes were high, and every lap during pre-season testing counted. For Hamilton, this was a golden opportunity to showcase his skill and leadership, but it seemed that Ferrari's struggles were too great to overcome in such a short amount of time. Despite these challenges, Hamilton's resilience and positive outlook remained evident. He spoke about the solid foundations that had been built and expressed optimism that the team could improve as the season went on. "This is the most positive feeling I've had for a long time," he said, hinting that he still believed in Ferrari's potential. However, even with this optimism, there was no denying the challenges that lay ahead. The gap to the top teams was significant, and Ferrari would need to make rapid progress if they wanted to be competitive. As the pre-season testing came to a close, Hamilton left the track with more questions than answers. There was hope, yes, but there was also a palpable sense of doubt. Could Ferrari solve the issues? Could Hamilton deliver the championship Ferrari so desperately craved? Or was the team destined to remain in the shadow of their competitors once again? For now, the answers are unclear. But one thing is for certain: the road ahead for Hamilton and Ferrari is going to be incredibly difficult. Whether or not Hamilton can rise to the occasion and deliver the championship Ferrari needs remains to be seen. The pressure is on, and with each passing day, the clock ticks down to the start of the 2025 season. If you found this analysis of Hamilton's Ferrari test struggles intriguing, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more exclusive F1 insights, and leave a comment below with your thoughts on Ferrari's future.